It's a little bit crazy. You're suddenly blurry now. I wonder if anything was real. All our history's hazy, like driving in the pouring rain. Are we in too deep to heal? You tell me that you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Before we're leaving here. I know it ain't easy, but there's something left to hold on to. We can work it through, you don't have to go. There's a future here with me. We'll find the light in a clouded room. Not giving up until you know. You tell me that you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here.
Yeah, and shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the Lost Sheep of Israel. I'm Elder Michael Johnson, the pastor over here with the Lost Sheep of Israel and with King James Bible University. And today we have a pretty interesting journey we actually going on. And I just want to make sure that everyone is in pretty good shape, because I know this been kind of tough for many people, but I do want to check one thing. I need because I'm trying to make sure some things is taken care of actually before we got started. So some of them I might take care of afterwards, but I do need to ask my sister Melissa if she can re-greet in also. I just need her to re-greet in. I just need to make sure she is set up. So I have to wait for some people to come in to do that. But I do want to make sure, so we can make sure that is taken care of. So if she can just re-greet a shalom where we can find out and make sure she is set up to where we can get as much people as taken care of as possible before we get started. So if she can re-greet and just say shalom, we'll know what's going on. But as last week, for whatever reason, we had some issues where once we went through there, it clicked out. It clicked out on us, but what we got to do, we got to add that to this, add that one to this. And we want to make sure the same thing with, as I'm doing this, I need Sister Eleanor Penn. I believe that's the same one we have. Trying to make sure, yeah. If Sister Eleanor, if she can re-greet, I appreciate it. And then we should have pretty much everybody there. So if she can re-greet, we appreciate that also. I'm just trying to get that taken care of before, so I won't have to try to worry about it later. So if she can, Sister Eleanor Penn, if you can re-greet again, just with a shalom, we appreciate it. But what we want to do, we want to look at, as we're going through this journey, we're going to find out a lot of things that would beset us. And we got to remember, Satan has 666 ways to which he can make us get away from the truth. He can make us fall away from the truth. And that's what we got to remember. So when we come into this wilderness, it's a process. It's a process to where it has a start, a middle, and an end. And this is all included in our ways to where we can be done in, or we can successfully get through this journey as one, or get through it together. So we got to find out what's going on. And this journey, sometime, as I said last week, sometimes this journey can have a spiritual side to it, but you understand that this is a spiritual journey 100% for us to find out what's going on. So we're going to find out a lot of things that's going on in here. We're going to see some inner workings in here, and we're going to learn a lot of stuff today. We're going to learn a lot of stuff together today. That I promise you, because you're going to see how this feminist thing that goes on, and we're going to sit there and find out a lot about that also. And if I can have also the one of the, man, I think that's the last one I need to check, is Sister Nicole. If you can just re-greet, I appreciate it. If you can re-greet, I appreciate it, and then I can continually move forward on what I'm doing. So Sister Nicole James, if you can re-greet again, I appreciate it. But what I want you to understand is this: we have a goal. We got to remember what the goal is. And if we're going to remember what the goal is, we have to complete on what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to complete on what we're trying to achieve. And from us moving from one position to another, it's almost like one will play chess, but we're moving from one position to another position. And it's going to have a lot to play with what we see here with those women that you see in here, but we're looking at what we want to see and understand feminist philosophy. I want you to keep that in mind, and it's the deception through feminism. We want to see this deception through feminism and find out what this is. And we're going to learn some things as on the way, but we want to make sure we really, truly get to understand many things as we go through here. So what we're going to do, we're going to get cranked up, and we're going to start going through a few things here. And we're going to go, and we're going to learn some things. And we're going to start here back again, and we're going to look at Numbers chapter 32, but we're going to pick it up at verse 2. We want to go here again. And we're going to move out, and we're going to learn a lot of things here today. And it says, including Moses wrote, they're going out according to their journeys. Because we know each one of these things we're going to run into a journey. A journey has a start, a middle, and an end. Each journey has a start, has a middle, and it has an end. We want to keep those in mind. So this journey, don't say, well, this journey is just one journey. That's not what's going on. Journeys has many journeys to it. And we have a start on a journey, we have a middle, then we have an end. And then you can start another journey. These journeys is what Moses says, it's written by Moses, but it's written by Moses from the Spirit of God. Each journey will be according to each one of us needs. And what we need, each one of us need to learn something based on that journey. Many of our journeys, we have to find out a couple of things. With that journey, we got to find out in there what is besetting us within the journey. Something in that journey is besetting us. And he'll put us on that journey to where we can get rid of that weight. And many times it's telling us right up front what's going on. We'll see this, and it tells us right here to make sure we get it very clear. It says, and they departed from Ramses. Ramses is dissolving the evil. So it's dissolving evil. So it has to dissolve the evil that is in us. It's dissolving evil within us. This is what we have to do. So I just want to make sure we clearly get what's going on. It says this here, and we want to make sure we really get what's going on. It says departing from Ramses, departing from evil, dissolving the evil of the days. And then it says in the first month on the 15th day, the day of the first month, which is the time of unleavened bread. So this 7-day journey is telling you 7 days, because unleavened bread is for 7 days. I want you to keep that in mind. So for 7 days, 7 is telling you until completion is what it's going to hold us to. So it's until we die, we're going to continually be on journeys until completion, until we die. That's technically what he's telling us right here. But he says more, and that's the fourth thought. It says, on the morrow after Passover, because first we have to Passover, the children of Israel went out with an high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians. This is what's getting ready to happen. This is what's going on. And this is why I say this is a spiritual journey. And that's why a lot of people, when you come here, we can't look at nothing carnal. Because if you look at anything carnally, you're going to learn everything wrong. From the beginning to the end. But he's telling us something always spiritually to make sure we can understand what he's talking about. He said this in Leviticus chapter 23, verse 6. So we can understand what he's saying over here. It says, including on the 15th day, the same month, in the feast of unleavened bread unto the Spirit of God, unto the Spirit of God on the 15th day, the teaching of remembrance of the instructions of unleavened bread, unleavened pure bread, truth and understanding is what he's doing. And it says, towards the Spirit of God, towards the Spirit of God. What is the focus? The focus is the journey to pass over to dissolving the evil and to get rid of that to where we can change our reasoning on what we need to be doing. And this is the main part where we got to remember. And the same thing, we're just recapping some things. And we have to remember, even with Peter, what he did. And you see it in Peter chapter 10 of Acts. And we're going to look at verse 10. And you'll see here what happened with Peter. Excuse me. It says, and he became very hungry. He became very hungry, and he would have eaten, but while they made ready on this, and he fell into a trance. And when he fell into a trance, this was a short journey that he had to go on. This was a journey, and it was a spiritual journey that he went on. Watch what happens. And he saw heaven open and certain vessels descending unto him, comparing it had been a great sheet at the four corners let down to the earth. This was a journey of Peter's. This was a short journey for Peter. And it don't say if it was, 2 minutes or 10 minutes, but this was a short journey for Peter. But he had to learn something, what was going on. Watch what it says here in verse 12. And wherein all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. But with that journey, something happened, excuse me, and we're just going to look at some of that there. Because in verse 13, we're going to look at this and just go through and look at the journey part of what he's going through. This is the journey what the voice told him, and it said, the voice came unto him, said, rise, Peter, kill and eat. Rise, Peter, kill and eat. He had to kill this flesh, but he wanted him to learn something. And this is what the point was. This is what the point was based on the journey that Peter was on for this short period of time. And while Peter was on this journey, Peter said, not so, Lord, I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. I never did anything like that. You see it right here. This is the journey that he's on. So with this journey, he's questioning based on what's going on. So within his reasoning, Peter has to understand the journey. And if he don't get it right, he can have kind of problems. Watch what happens. Verse 15. And the voice spake unto him again, the second time. What God has cleansed, that call not thou common. Don't do that. But Peter's on this journey. He's on this vision of a journey, and he's trying to understand the journey. This journey was done to him. It was done to him thrice. And the vessel was received up again into heaven. And once it went back up to heaven, you see right here where you see verse 17, it says, now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision, what this journey he have seen should mean, remember the men which were sent from Cornelius, remember them, had the inquiry of Simon's house, stood before the gate. He didn't know what this journey meant, but he had to chew on that. He had to think on what this journey he has seen should mean. He had to understand what was going on. Now, we're going to just fast forward there. We're going to go down to verse 28 just to get the understanding. And let's see, did Peter understand the journey? And this is why this journey, he didn't have to take at least this journey no more. He didn't have to take this no more. And Peter said unto them, you know that how it is unlawful thing that for a man that is a follower of Christ to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But God has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. I should not call anyone that. It's right here. So we see that. We get the understanding of that. But this was the journey Peter went on, and then Peter understood the journey. Once he understood the journey, Peter can clearly tell you what the journey was, what it was about. It's showing you right there. Right here. And we went further down and we'll see back again. Let's go back over here to Numbers, and we're going to look at Numbers chapter 33, and we're going to go to verse 4. So we're going to go down. We're going back to Numbers 33:4, and it says, for the Egyptians buried all their firstborn, which the Spirit of God has smitten among them. Upon their gods also the Spirit of God executed judgment. He executed doctrines and teachings, because this is what had to happen while we on the journey. Keep that in mind. So he executed doctrine and teaching, and then the Egyptians buried is planted their seeds. So the Egyptians planted their seeds of all their firstborn, their heirs, their first ways on what they was doing, performing before these false gods. Children of Israel was removed from the Egyptians, departing from the evil of Ramses. That's technically what happened here. I want you to stay with me on this and keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. And we're going to understand what's going on. And as we get this understanding, we continually going through, we continually moving forward. We see what happened. And we'll go down to verse 5. We're going to look at verse 5. The children of Israel removed from Ramses. So they was removed from Ramses. So as these children of Israel, once they was removed from Ramses, it's telling you what he did. And he pitched in sackcloth. They pitched there. And so we journeyed and we stayed in sackcloth, these tabernacles, these temporary dwellings. That's what's telling us here, to prepare us for these journeys, to help us dissolve our evil ways, including to learn from our ways of the house of bondage, that made us ready to leave to where we can get right. We want to stay with that. We want to understand that in its fullness. We want to understand that in its 100% fullness. Let's look down here in verse 6. We're going to look at verse 6 and see something. Verse 6 is telling us this. In verse 6 it says, and they departed from sackcloth and pitched in Ethium. Wow. Okay, we went from a temporary dwelling and we went to Ethium, which is our wilderness, our boundary of the sea. This is our wilderness. This is our wilderness, our boundary of the sea, where it starts. And we got removed. We got removed. You're going to see what's going to happen, but we started having some issues. We started having issues automatically right there, because it's telling us right there. We got removed from there. It's right there in verse 7. Got removed. But this is telling you about a spirit that was in us. And this is why a lot of times when we have these spirits in us, we think they're not there, but they're there. You can't feel it, touch it, feel it, smell it, but it's there. And God sees it because he can look up on the heart. I want you to keep those in mind. Keep those in mind. It says, and turn to go again to this place. To this place. Pi ha Ra. We go there. Which is before Baal Zephon. Being removed from our wilderness and the boundary lines, we go there. And then we pitched no other than in Magdal. We moving around in a lot of places. And we want to understand, in the way you tell the story, in the way you can understand the story, he's given us names. These names have functions. Those functions have things to which we need to understand the meaning of. Once you understand the meaning of, you can actually understand the story. Everything is laid out in there to where we can get it. In fact, I want to show you where we're going to recap something. I want to show you something here. In Matthew chapter 4, verse 1, it's telling us this here. Then was salvation led up of the spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. So we had to go this way. You see right here, we had to go this way. This is the problem that we have. It's not a problem for God. And Pi ha Ra is the mouth of wrath. That's what we doing. We turn again into Pi ha Ra, which is Zephon, and we pitch there. And the thing is, we're in the mouth of wrath, passing through the midst of the sea. And we see that the people, the deeper we go into the wilderness, the journey took 3 days to Ethium, and it tells us about that. Gets into this. But we're going to keep moving and seeing how we can get everything. But it took 3 days. That's interesting with the 3 days. Because it says, and they departed from Pi ha Ra and passed through the midst of the sea, in the midst of the people, into the wilderness, and went 3 days journey into the wilderness of Ethium and pitched in Myra. Myra is bitterness, and we rebelled. I'm telling you. This is what we do. These are things we do. But this is why it's so important to understand where we're coming from, to where we can notice what our sickness is. We can notice what our sickness is. Once we notice what our sickness is, we know what we can do to correct it. Let's look at verse 9 and get down a little bit more. Verse 9 is it's clearing it. And they removed from Myra and came into Elam. Again, we're going to find out what all this is. In Elam were 12 fountains of water and 70 palm trees, and they pitched there. We pitched there. But again, we got to look at this. The 70 palm trees. These 70 palm trees, that's we going back and we looking at, we recapping some things and making sure we get what was going on. We're going to see this in Exodus chapter 24. We're going to look at verse 9, and we're going to start there and move down. We're going to see where these palm trees is what it's talking about. It says, then went up Moses, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders. Bingo. We got them right there. This Bible has so many parables in here, it's unreal. Parables is unreal. But these are the 70 elders. This is what that's telling you about there. Why we pitched those 10 palm trees. That's why it's saying these 70 palm trees is talking about these people here. So we got to understand what's going on. And it's telling you right there, and then it's telling you what they did here. They saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet, as it was paved work of sapphire stone, in comparing it were the body of heaven in his clearness. In his clearness. It's right here. We getting these understanding, we finding out what's going on, we seeing what's happening, and then you see what Moses even did, and we'll see again what's happening. In Numbers, we'll find this out in Numbers chapter 24. Actually, Numbers chapter 11, verse 24. And we're going to see some of this right here. In verse 24, we're going to look at something. Verse 24, we're going to look at something. And we need to pinhole this so I can move it around. And it says, and Moses went out and told the people the words of the Spirit of God, including gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people and set them round and about the tabernacle. You see it right here. This is what he did. And once he set them round about in the tabernacle, once he set them there, we see a little bit more. Verse 25. Verse 25, and the Spirit of God came down in the cloud and spake unto him, and took of the Spirit that was upon him, that was upon Moses, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass, and when the rest upon them, they prophesied and did not cease. You see what's going on here. This was the thing, but as I said, we see where some problems happen. We see where some problems happen with this. And as this was going on with the 70 elders, we can't discount or not use what actually happened later. Because we had Eldad and Medad, they was in the camp, and they wasn't part of the 70 elders that was up there, but they was prophesying that made one that I wouldn't try to make mad nowhere, and that was Joshua. But they was up there prophesying. Actually, I'm going to show you this. Let me show you something. In verse 26, tells us this right here. But, because all Moses had to do is give the thing, I guarantee they would have been dead as a doorknob. And it says, but there remained 2 men in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, the name of the other was Medad, and their spirit rested upon them. And they were of them that was written, but went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp. They did this. And what we got to remember is Eldad is God has loved and promised, and Medad is a measure of love or promise. It's interesting. It's really interesting on how The Most High have laid this out for us to where we can sit there and put these puzzles together to learn what he wants us to spiritually know. To learn what he wants us to spiritually know. So it's not just people in the camp and he wanted them to stop. But Joshua also wanted them to stop. However, Moses refused. Not for their sakes, but he refused it because the Spirit of God wanted all his people to be prophets. He wanted all of them to be prophets. In fact, we jump down to verse 29 just to see what Moses says. Just to see what Moses says. Because they wanted them to stop. And Joshua wanted them to remain. See, it tells you right there. Joshua wanted them to stop. But you see what Harry and Moses said unto him, envious thou for my sake? So he's telling Joshua, hey, you envious for my sake? Because he knows Joshua will put in work. Joshua will put some work in. He said, well, God, that all the Spirit of God people were prophets, including that the Spirit of God will put his Spirit upon them. And Moses got up from the camp and the elders, and he said, Moses said, hey, stop tripping. Don't trip. But this is what happens. This is what happens when people are not fully understanding what was going on. And since Joshua knew that would happen, Joshua didn't see them two go up. So Joshua sitting there, I'm gonna break them off. All Moses had to do is get an okay, and they would have had a problem. They would have had a bad day. So we're gonna go back over here. We're gonna look at Numbers chapter 33. But you gotta remember who you're dealing with. We're dealing with the children of Israel, which is really technically a lot of us just the children of Jacob, and never switched over and passed over or crossed over or let alone stepped the toe over on the other side. And they got removed from Elam. That's us. That's us at our best. We got removed from there. And from the Red Sea, which is telling us what went on. The sinful sea people. So we got hooked up right there. In Elam, and what it's telling us right there in Elam, and the main thing, which is, you got to remember, we was among these mighty ones. We was among these mighty men. But the problem is the same thing. I want you to keep this in mind. Many people, actually Elder Jenkins was speaking about that today. He was speaking about it this morning in his Sabbath class. Many people in this rampant, and I'm talking about especially rampant over social media, extremely rampant. People will learn in 2 hours, and then they think that they fully understand the Bible, and then they feel they can go out and teach, and then even teach people who is well lettered in the Bible. They do it like clockwork. You see them even post out, oh no, you need to see this. No, you need to understand that. And they running through everything. People do this. This is, I'm talking about, it's comical. Really comical, because this is something we do. As soon as we think we know something, all of a sudden we become the expert in that. It'd be dumb as rocks. Let's go down a little bit more. And it says, and they removed from the Red Sea and encamped in the wilderness of sin. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. And again, we was removed from there, knowing the ways of righteousness, but we still camped in the wilderness of sin. But the main thing is, why? Why we went from the wilderness and we had to go over here and from the Red Sea, we got removed from there. From sinful people, we got removed from there. And then we was put by the wilderness of sin. My question to you, and what you need to think on, why. Why did this happen to us? Why did this go on? That's the point. The point is, see, we're so screwed up because we sitting there, we thinking, we like to think for ourselves. We have that big issue with ourselves. We think we always know everything, no matter what. The same when you have kids. Kids that sit there saying they know more than their mama. They know more than their daddy. They know all of a sudden they know everything and know absolutely nothing. Everything is laid out for them, and then they think they did everything themselves. The same thing, everything laid out for us, and then we know more than God. So where did they learn it from? They learned it from you. They learned that from you. But it's telling us right here, and it makes sure what happened. As I said, I want you to think about it. I want you to think about this. It says, and they took their journey out of the wilderness of sin and encamped in none other than Dupkaya. To beat. And you have beaten. You should be bringing up some. I wonder why we there. You'll find out. You will find out in time. And you're going to find out why we had that problem. Because it's telling us this in verse 13. We departed from the Dupkaya and encamped in Elish. The reason we went to Elish because Elish is telling you, I will need bread, meaning you needing your own dang bread. You mean you creating your own knowledge. Tell me we don't do this. Please tell me we don't do this. And I show you a liar. I show you a liar, 100%. The weirdest thing is this you have people who sit there still profess Christianity. They'll say, I'm a Christian. And you have 45,000 plus different denominations of Christian religion. And if it's 45,000 plus different Christian religion, how do you know you got the right one? And if you got 45,000, you know it's wrong. You already know it's wrong because it's 45,000 of them. Plus. So you already know it's wrong. But, oh no, but mine is right. Really. You got 45,000 plus other ones saying that yours is wrong and theirs is right. You don't create your own doctrine. You have people who create their own doctrine. And what this is, it's bending you and it's forming you into what we getting into in a little while is going to get you into feminism. We got to figure out what all that is. Why is this pointing there? But I want to take you down this road on why we there. Let's look at something. And make sure we all on the same page. We got to make sure we all on the same page because we all on the same page. And it's here. It's there. I want you to look at that really there. The reason why I want you to really pay close attention to that there is it's telling us something, and I want you to see it. And actually, I want you to really focus on it. I want you to focus on that. I want you to make sure you clearly get it. Actually, I'm going to move this over. I want you to focus right there. I'm going to put that right there. I want you to focus on that right there. Isaiah chapter 4 verse 1. I want you to focus on that. Just right there. Just that. The reason why is this reason. It's telling us this here. It says, including in that day, 7 women shall take hold to one man, saying, we will eat our own bread, because they're going to make their own bread. They're going to develop their own knowledge. And we'll wear our own apparel, so they're going to have their own covering. They're going to do all this themselves. However, as they do this themselves, they're telling you something because it's a code in there, so they're going to clarify why we're going to do all this ourselves. Only one thing, though. Only one thing we want you to do. And now, mind you, they telling this to the Spirit of God. I want you to keep that in mind. It says, only let us be called by the way, by thy way. We only want to be called by thy way. We want to be called Israel by what we create. So whatever we create, we want to be called Israel, no matter what. In every way it's jacked up. Every way is hideous. Every way is abomination. Every way is just unreal. But we want to call that way, 45,000 plus different denominations of it, we want to call that Israel. Everybody follow, see what I'm saying. I want you to understand that's what's going on. And when you see that, what's going on, it says to take away our reapproach. That's what it's for. That's what it's for. That's the problem. That's why we have this problem here. That's why this problem is residing there so strongly. In the ways in develop, we want to be called the ways of Israel, but feminism is working at its best. We don't even know it. It's there. You can't see it. You can't touch it, feel it, smell it, taste it, but it's right there. And we're gonna start picking it down and getting into it. Do you know any other meaning of that? Feminism. We'll make our own bread, but we are later gotten removed and getting removed and getting removed and getting removed and getting removed constantly. Verse 14, it tells us something. It tells us something a little bit more here. Let me go here. Let me put this here. Let me see. 1 second. Why it didn't do that? Let me pull this again. Where is it? Let me see. There we go. Let me 14, verse 14. We're gonna pick this one up, and it says, including they removed from Elash, where they needing their own bread, they're making their own stuff, they're doing all these things, and they encamped in another place. Rephidim. Rephidim is what we know as the resting place, but it's better known as the place in the desert. The place in the desert. So if you're there and you're in Rephidim, then you're in the place of the desert, meaning it has no water. It's zero water. Zero water. Actually, it tells you that there was no water for the people to drink. I want you to think about these things. I want you to think about as we moving forward. No water, none. So it was no knowledge there for you to drink. Period. I wonder why. I wonder why. And the same thing as what we said. I believe I did bring that up last week. We wonder why the devil always sitting there when he made those comments. You ever wonder why he made these comments here? I'm going to show it to you. I want you to see the comment he made. I want you to understand what he's talking about. And I just wonder why, and it's more of a sarcasm that I'm holding to us. Because when the Spirit of God says something, and the Spirit of God said unto Satan, which comest thou? And he asked, wait, Satan, where you coming from? Satan, hell. That's what I put to hell. And said, going to and fro in the earth, walking up and down. And hell, I'm tired chasing your dang people. They worse sinners than me. They worse sinners than me. Every time I'm chasing, they go deeper into hell than I go. We do it consistently. We do this consistently, chasing us around all about the earth, running up and down it. Just more sinful than we want to be. And it makes it so clear. When you look at Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 14, it makes perfect sense what hell did. because it's telling you, it says, therefore, in Isaiah chapter 5, verse 14, therefore hell have enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure in their glory, including their multitude and their pomp. In their pomp. I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way, our own pomp. And it's telling, and they rejoiced, and the second to descend into it. So that's to a letter. To the letter. But it gets better. It gets way better. And they departed. We departed. For Rapidem, we departed from there. And pitched in the wilderness of Sinai, which you already know that ain't gonna last long. We already know the way we are, that's not gonna last long. We know that. You see how the words telling us the story? The words is telling us the story, but people will sit there and just read, we just gonna read. No, we don't need to read that. And we don't even know what happened. But the words telling you the story on what happened to us. Stuff that we just read past. Well, I don't know what that means, I just go past it. And it's telling you the story. How we are. If you want to hide something, as they say, you want to hide something from us, put it in the book. And this is it. In Sinai is sacrifice, which is the Spirit of God. He'd say that's his bush, my bush. Right by Sinai, knowing clear as day we're going to get removed from there because we have no business there. We have no business there. Let's go down to verse 16. You'll see it. You're going to see it right here. And you might well put us. And we got removed from the desert of Sinai. Exactly the point. We got removed. Why are we there? I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way. Why in the world we're there? Why did we come there? Knowing we're going to get our butt kicked out. We need our own bread. We're going to make our own knowledge. We're going to do all our own stuff. And then we're going to sit there thinking we're going to come to God. Oh, we're going to come there. Satan even, hell, man. Hey, Spirit of God. Man, where I'm coming from, man, I'm chasing your people all over the world. And then I think I got them trapped in hell. They going below that. That's what we do. I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way. We get removed. So what happened? I'm telling you. So we go over to Kabrahatahava. Kabrahatahava. Telling you right here. This is where we went. Guess what that is? The grave of lust. That's here. That's here, right here. So we pitched at the grave of lust. I'm telling you, we can't get out our own way. Why would it be at the grave of lust? Well, it's already temporary. This is what we do. This is what we do. We're good at doing it. In fact, in Isaiah chapter 65, we're going to look at verse 4. Why do you think Isaiah said this? He said, which remain among the graves and lodged in monuments, which learn swine's flesh in the broth of abominable things in their vessels. Yeah, in our body. Why you think Isaiah said that? Do anybody ever figure out but I tell you what we do. I tell you what we're real good at doing. We're real good at sitting there throwing those rocks at every other nation in the world. This is what they do. And it's talking about us. It's talking about me and you. We throw it at everybody else, and it's talking about us. Oh no, this is them. This is them. No. Hold up. Only you have he known of all the families of the earth. But he talking about no. Hold up. You only have he known of all the families of the earth, remaining among the graves, and you lodged in these monuments, eating swine's flesh. Some bread you done made up, some silliness that you done brought up, some craziness that you done did, and you first thing you want to do is put it on somebody else. And we started making our own bread, doing these things, and we lies there, and then we calling ourselves, we purifying ourselves. Learning of this swineful flesh, these contemptible, unclean things, all of abominations in their bodies. It's telling you right there, in their vessels, so it's in our bodies. And we think we got something. Yeah, I'll show you. We think we got something now. And we departed from there. Kara hata hava. We left there. We got us some knowledge now. Really. Hanging out with. And then we went to Hazeroth. It's telling you right there. And then we encamped at Hazeroth. The villages. Don't that sound like Christians going from place to place, building to building, state to state, country to country? Don't that sound like them? Oh, guess what? Don't that sound like us? Yeah. That sounds just like us. We can't get around it because it sounds just like us. In fact, we even left there. We departed from there. You know what I'm saying? We departed there. We departed from there, from the villages. Yeah, how we kicking the dust off our feet? No, we didn't kick no dust off of anything. We didn't kick no dust off of nothing. They departed. And then what we do, we departed from Hazeroth, and then we pitched in Rehamath, desert of juniper trees. Have you ever seen those? Actually, they're similar to, if you guys are in California and you go out to the main desert area, you see these trees they call Joshua trees. Similar to the same thing. They only grow out there. But we think we all this in a bag of chips. We always think we all this in a bag of chips. Always. We can't get around that. We always believe we this, that in a bag of chips. So we hung out there and we departed. You seeing what's going on now. So we departed Rahabah, but then we didn't left these juniper trees because we got this knowledge of the wilderness, and then we left, and then we pitched a tent in Rimmon Perez. Telling you right there. Seedy fruit. That's what we did. Thinking, oh, we're the people now. Oh, we got this strong knowledge now. Interesting. We got this super strong knowledge. We got this knowledge. Can nobody else get better knowledge than us? I know churches used to sit there. We got the best doctrine of anybody. Really, that's interesting. That's interesting. But watch what we did. I told you. We think our poop don't stink. We departed from Ramon Perez, and then we pitched in Labna. Whiteness. You see Paul clowns us over there. For Satan himself shall appear as an angel of light. Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? I know that's interesting. The people, yeah. No, that's us. See, get off of always pointing the finger at other people and look at us. Go look in the mirror. You see how shady we are. And we got to get this straightened out. But what happens? What happened? We sitting there thinking we rolling high on the hog. And we good at getting this. And we got removed. We got removed from Labna and we pitched in Rasia. Interesting. And you know where that place is? I'm going to tell you what it is, because just in case you don't know. But that's heaps of ruin. Heaps of ruin. Same thing like you talk about, my kids are just ruined. Yeah. Okay. You see what the Most High saying? We over here at the heaps of ruin. You need to empty out the trash. So this is so real today. We take some doctrine of yesterday and that we created and some others they created, and they try to apply it to today in their lives as doctrine from God, and it's not from God, it's from themselves. These are doctrines of philosophy. These are doctrines of feminism at its best. Feminism at its best. Even our women, and that's the same thing. I get on the men, I get on the women, but same thing. Even our women has taken these doctrines and changed them to another thing. Even the women. And most women, he's talking about, no, only the women that it applied to who do it. The women that it applied to is the ones that do it. So if you don't do it, you don't worry about you. You just sit there. But the ones that's worried about, them the ones who get their feathers ruffled and then they get really uncomfortable. That's them. The ones who don't do it, they, oh yeah, I'm cool with it. Yeah, exactly the point. Excuse me, because you have men that sit there and people take things personal, but you don't look at anything personal, because if it don't pertain to you, you'll see, oh yeah, that's what they do. It's no big deal. But you have people who do it, and then they sit there, why are you doing that? I think that's wrong. I think that's disrespect. No, because they do it. They use this doctrine of feminism. And while being here, and we're here to be trained in perfection, and we encounter a doctrine that's stolen, the same as, actually, I'm going to tell you what, let's run here. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something, feminism back in Genesis. I'm going to show you feminism in Genesis. We're going to look at this in Genesis chapter 31, verse 19. I'm going to show you this in, I know it's verse 19. Yeah, it is verse 19. Okay. So we're going to go right here. Feminism at its best. Started right here. It says, Laban went out to shear the sheep, and Rachel, his daughter, stolen the images that were her father's. Because she wanted to continue this doctrine. Now she going to flip it, but now she's no longer going to be around her father. Jacob don't teach that kind of doctrine, but who do? She does. Feminism at its best. Feminism at its best. And the best thing is we got to understand the methodology behind feminism. We want to understand it as a whole, which I'm going to share all that with you. Because what we have to do is look at feminism, but then you have another twist in what they have taken, and you have one that's called black women feminism. And it's rampant in blacks. People sit there and try to talk about different things, but the main thing, what I really pinpoint, is black women. The same when I be talking about men, I'm talking about black men. But black women feminism have destroyed not just thousands, but millions of black families today based on the philosophy of feminist methodologies. Most people sit there like, I don't know, I don't get it. But you know, if I'm bringing it up, I promise you I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. Because feminist methodologies uses a series of methods, created rules to push and employ a self-serving discipline structured of being seen as a God. That's them in its fullness. When you even look at the term feminist philosophy is it's an essential component which carries feminist ideas. In the original ideology of feminism holds that men, I want you to keep this in mind and you write it down because I want you to understand what they say when women supposed to look at feminism, what it actually is. And now how black women have changed this whole dynamics. Because feminism holds that men and women are to be treated equally in fully and given the equivalent chance of many activities, interests, expertise, advice, and aspect of a life that's distinguished and unified by particular characteristics. Understand what that's saying. I'm saying it that way to make sure we clearly get it because it's understood by particular characteristics. We're not going to pinhole it to a body, feminine or female or male, but it's we're gonna be fair with it, and it's by a characteristic. Keep that in mind. That'll help you even later on in your life to make sure you can understand, because when you approach this physiological approach and it's geared towards gaining to understand the problem that appears in the day or even in the past that refers to, and what they're saying is feminists or the doctrine or the methodology is used, they use oppression. Keep that in mind. I want you to write that one down. We're gonna hunt this dog down. So with this oppression, I want you to remember what it is. And this is feminists. They can go into their doctrine all day and that it'll prove it's right because I'm going to even show you where it came from. But I'm going to show you the main thing is defined when you look at oppression. And you got to remember that's what oppression is. And this is what white women, and you see they achieve their goal, because we're going to get into that. They achieve their goal. But if you see, white women really don't push feminist movements. They really don't. It's black women. In this, and when you look at oppression, it's a forced trinity, meaning to have total authority to exert absolute power over another person. That's oppression. Today we have women producing ideas in the social one call, and they're going to call it a feminist idea. But women call these, and what you have to look at them as feminist philosophers. And these feminist philosophers push what is known as feminism. And they claim feminism as a system of values, beliefs, and behaviors to attempt to better a situation of women in society. That is where the lie is on black women. White women was 100% was fair. I want you to understand the difference. And I'm holding to what I'm saying. And you can drill me on that. The way white women was saying feminists was being and why they was moving that feminist movement, anybody would agree with. Anybody with white women. They was right. Black women was 400 million times incorrect. I'm going to say it again. White women was correct. Black women was 100 million billion times incorrect. Based on the values, the beliefs, and the behaviors that attempt to better the situation for women in society. And these are the principles that developed by feminists. And their opinion was women should be subject. And what was happening was they was being abused in the patriarchal, that word always messes me up, patriarchal society, which are intended to bring the change in the system of belief. So I want to show you something to make sure we understand what we all on the same page. I want you to see something. Here. And I'm going to bring this woman up. Her name is Mary Wollstonecraft. And she actually wrote this book of the vindication of women, of the rights of women. I want you to see this. I want you to understand what this is saying. And this woman, now the main thing is this. It's really weird on how this is going to go. She was actually the creator of that. Most people don't know that. And this was born in 1759. She was accredited for the first organized feminist philosopher that is known. It's her. That's her. Right there. That's where feminists came from. That's where that came from. So anybody can tell you whatever they want to tell you, but that's where that came from. In Mary, her written words that she wrote in her book was talking about history and politics. But she developed a strong passion and singled out a thing on women, on the rights, which ultimately drove her to become a feminist philosopher. A feminist philosopher is what she became. And she penned this book, The Vindication of the Rights of Women, which the first was distributed in, I believe, in 1792. But you can read it free today. You can actually go look it up. You can actually read it for free. You can actually read that for free. And you can find out what all that is about. So as you go through this, and you get the better understanding of what's happening. So you have this Mary, she argued. What her argument was women were subjected to oppression through unequal treatment. I want you to pay attention to what that was her argument and why she was doing the feminist movement. They was under the oppression through unequal treatment when it comes to political issues and rights. That this woman to be granted, and she wanted all women to be granted to have the same rights as men with choices. In addition, she contended and that women should be granted the right to vote and even to occupy public office. That's what she was pushing, which in this was a smart angle taken. But if you look at it, many males, even myself, I'll agree with her 100%. I can't go against it because it makes all the sense in the world. But the main thing is women, it'd be better positioned if women should hold office as influencers with every male that is in office. So every male that is in office should have a woman influencer there. It will make it more sense. Make it way more sense where the influencer is there. Because now he can get both sides. So she don't technically have to hold office. But I understood where she's coming from. So this is where the difference is. But feminism today is misunderstood when it comes to the notion of women in the same aspects of equality, which is not based on true characteristics alone. That's where the problem is. Because we are not equal at all. So we can remove that because they want to be treated equal, but they are not equal at all. Period. Equal, and to show you where we're not equal, because women can have babies. Women have a cycle every month, or even just for simple little examples. Simple examples. Overall, females should have the same rights and politicals and rights as men, which to achieve and was achieved by white females. See, white females even are seen today, which a lot of people still don't know, but white females are seen as minorities. That's why a lot of the males, even in construction, they had their wives to get the contractor license to where they can actually be seen as a minority contractor. It was a smart move. It was a business move, but it was a smart move. But they were seen as minorities. And the movement was a way, and it moved this way to America. That's where it screwed up. But we're going to get into that also. So we have this belief that women should have the same rights as men using the argument of oppression. Keep the argument of oppression there. And when you're leaving it to America, it get twisted up because here, and people can sit there and say what they want, America is one of the biggest lying pots in the world. We'll lie on anything and make everything the truth, and it's not the truth. We think we're the basis of where truth is, and we're the base where all lies are. So just the term feminist, it was adopted by America, but it got twisted. not again by white women. So you can remove the white women out of the room. Remove them because the white women didn't do anything wrong on what they was pushing. But black women, see, I got to go back to them. Black women is the one that tripped it up. Black women is the one that screwed everything. They was the one proven to destroy even a people as a whole. Gentile women was pushing the same thing that was adopted, the philosophy being oppressed without rights. That's what they issued. Think about this. White women, you see white women where men back then they would leave their wives and they had children and they would be the one taking care of the house and everything else. And the white man will leave and he have no obligation to the woman or the child. They wanted rights to that, 100%. Now, men today, even our black people, they'll pinhole that to us, but they was doing it also. They just don't tell you that. But those white women fought that. It was the white women to where now you get the alimony. It was them that feminist movement was the pusher of that. It was the pusher of making sure the man take care of his child. If she was the homemaker. It was that white woman did that. Understood what her oppression was. There was a clear understanding of what oppression was in her world. Not what black women do. We're gonna be getting into that. So this feminist movement was an adopted idea, and it was adopted over here, and I'm gonna show it to you. And you'll see the same lady. Her name was Alice Paul. Her name was Alice Paul. One second. I'm trying to sit there. One second. Let me see. I think I can get this here. You don't want to show that. For some reason, you don't want to show it. There we go. It keep going out for some reason. And it keep, actually, let me just do this one. It keep going out. But her name is Alice Paul. It keep going out for me for some reason. But her name is Alice Paul. And Alice Paul was another, she was over in America. She's over here. You'll see this is Women in America if you want to put a vote in. And this is what she was pushing. This is what she was pushing. The same thing. She adopted it over here in the 19th century. And the white women first organized and they fight in order to have legal and social rights. Same thing. Same as in the United Kingdom. So however it did, it came over here and she adopted that. Alice Paul. And they insisted that women should be granted the same legal protection as males. And when you sitting at this, that was her fight. That was their main fight. And anyone with common sense, anyone with understanding and common sense would do that. Will do that. With common sense, they wouldn't disagree with her. That she should have rights, because if two people come together as one and one is out there doing one thing and the other one is out there doing something else, but she is geared to where she's going to have the children, she's going to take care of the home, she's going to do all these things, and the male is going to go out and he's going to earn the money, he's going to bring the money in, and he's going to take care of the household. But then if the male leaves, the system is broken. But then she don't have the skills to actually go out to earn the income level on what they was actually living on. So the only way she can do it now, she probably have to go to work, but she needs to supplement the part there where she cannot make up for. And that's where the male comes in. Do anybody disagree with it? Only a fool would. Because she's 100% right. Only a fool would disagree with her. So that's what she was pushing. She was pushing the same identical thing. In an upbringing, you agree with it. Because if you decide to leave her and you leave her, high and dry, by right, that male should help take care of her. Now, if they only married for 1-2 years and then they, how they do in America, they cut out. No, They don't take care of the rest of her life. You might help her out for a couple of months and she get on about her business. But if they sit there, and they be with this male for over a period of time, and they got this thing going. No, by right, they should help raise the children and make sure that things are taken care of. Anybody, you can't disagree with it. It's agree. But this was done by white women. That's why I particularly want to sit there and say white women. White women was the one pushing that. They was pushing that idea. They was pushing that philosophy, which made all the sense in the world. So people would sit there and they'll go against white. No, but white women was 100% right. Now, we have what we call black feminism. Different ball game. Black feminism, women has taken the same idea and twisted it. They taken the same idea and they twisted it up, screwed it up in many different ways. And we're going to get into those ways, and we're going to find out what's going on. I didn't want to put up a lot of pictures on that, but I'm going to show you how screwed up black women has did this, because women took that feminism idea and removed the characteristics from the feminism idea and created something else. And they turned it up and they made it defined, no longer defining oppression, but they defined it other ways. It's not defining political issues. They defined it in other ways. They not define it as a social or equality issue, but black women defined it a whole nother way. We're going to see what those are. And so what they did, and what you'll see what they did even with black men, they'll see black men in their eyes. Many women see black men, and you hear it. You can go across the board, across internet, you'll see it. They'll call black men lazy, drughead bums. And then when you see a black man working in a blue collar position, and most people might don't know, but I'm gonna share with you, you got white collar and blue collar, which they say in America. You got blue collar where they pretty much men work with their hands, and then white collar people work with their mind. Blue collar, white collar. And they have an issue with it. Women, not white women, black women. So we're going to remove white women out the way. We're going to take them out of the room, because the same thing is white women will get the wrong, they'll get pegged for the wrong reasons on something that they fearfully fought for, and anybody with common sense would agree with them. But everybody won't agree with this black woman, which we were going from place to place getting kicked out based on screwed up ideas. But that's what we got to look at. Because black women sit there and they want men to provide for this black woman a lifestyle. And they go from home in broken homes and $2 a day, and then they want a man to make six figures because they will tell you they're worth it. And the only thing they do and the only thing they offering is sex. Well, he got me. No, that's stupidity. He got me. I'm worth it. How you know? You're worth it to you. How many men went through you? See, many of us have men, and the first thing the black women feminists, what they do, they I'm gonna show you the black women feminists. The qualifications for a lot of black males. See, they'll tell you, and you'll hear it. You can scour the web because you'll see it everywhere. And they'll sit there and they have a qualification for feminists, black feminists, that the males need to make at least six figures. They need to make six figures. They have to have a nice car, have a nice house. They must buy her expensive gifts. They must give her money. And take her on expensive trips. Give her expensive dinners. Clean the house and make sure everything's taken care of the way she don't have to, and make sure all the outside taken care of. And then make sure you even share in the cooking. She don't have to work. You send her on sporadic shopping sprees. You're always on call whenever you need. And you're offering anything else other than what is needed. And all she want to give you is, she's saying, you got me. That's black women feminism in a nutshell. This is why you sit there and you see this when we go here, and it makes all your understanding there, because that's what they have taken it to. That's what they have taken this to, and they do this very well. You see this in in Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. It says, and 7 women should take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread, wear our own apparel, let us be called by thy name. And you got a lot of these sisters that actually operates on what I just said. This male need to be able to do this. This male need to be able to do that. Not only black women was oppressing marriages in the black communities, they cannot seek outside resources to fulfill duties of other women. So saying black men is lazy, black men are lazy, these black women feminist ideas with their bread and their covenant, they believe they have equal rights to all jobs, not some jobs, to all jobs, and even the ones that's seeking the souls for God. They use the feminist movement. So you have some of your most prominent ones in your white arena. You have your Joyce Meyers, you have your Victoria Olsteins, your Paula Whites. But when you go to the black women, you got your Juanita Bynums, your Shirley Caesars, your Kimberly Burrells, your Serena Jakes, your Bernice King. You have all these women, and I can continually go. Tons of them. Tons of them. Based on the doctrine, they had changed it to black women feminism. It says this, and we want to look at something. I want to show you something here. And we're going to find this in Isaiah chapter 3. Isaiah 3, and we're going to go down to verse 6. It says, then a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this be ruined under thy hand. We're going to break some things down, and we're going to figure out what's going on here. Because all this mess should have been under subjection and not ruling over you. It even says this when you look at Genesis. Genesis chapter 4, picking up at verse 7, it tells you this, what he was telling Cain, the same identical thing. It says, if thou doest well, shall not thou be accepted. If thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. See, sin, these thoughts, these imaginations, these creations, these things on what you want to do to build and create, it screws you up. And it says, and it should be the desire that thou shalt rule over him, not you, him ruling over you. But it goes vice versa, and that's what happens. And this is why I say, and why we should be able to agree that everyone should be one of the same. When you look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, it tells you here. It says, so God created man, M-A-N, man, M-A-N. That's man or woman. And it says, in his own image, in the image God created he him, male and female created he them. He created both of these. He created both. So we shouldn't be tripping. But we looking for other covers. We're looking for other coverings and to be ruled by these other doctrines. And not the doctrine of Jehovah, not the doctrine of God of Israel. We do this. In fact, when you look at Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 7, it gets a little bit better. It says, in that day we shall swear, saying, I will not be an healer. For thought. For in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. This is interesting. The days of Jehovah saying, you will not be a ruler of this people, the bread, the truth, and understanding, the covering. But the ossifier, the eloquent orator, is what we got to remember what's going on. We're going to have these elegant orators, these ossifiers. Someone who was good with words, that's what that orator is. Someone good with words, they're a charmer. Seeking to rule over people. In fact, you see this here in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 10. In verse 10, it says, and this is what people want, and we say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak to us smooth things, prophesy deceit. You can tell us lies all day. As long as it sounds good, we cool. As long as it sounds good to us, it's cool. See, black women like to use catchphrases, and I hear them all the time. Hear them all the time. You have black women say, black man didn't step up to plate, so I have to. I know many men, you can put that in there right now. If you heard it, just, yes. Because black women say that. You got a lot of them say that. Black men didn't step up to the plate, so I have to. They use that. They use that tremendously. Tremendously they use it. We doing what black man won't do. Somebody had to. They use this like clockwork. They use it like clockwork. And this is the problem, and this is our ruin. This is our ruin on what we have. And this is sin that's in us, and it has to come out. It has to get out of there. It has to come out of us, because if it's in us, we can't correct it. And if nobody brings it up, nobody will never face it. In fact, I'm going to show you in verse 8. He's telling us exactly what's going on. We're going to look at this as we go through it. It says, for Jerusalem is ruined. That's talking about us. That's telling you about us. Jerusalem is ruined. Is ruined because we have fallen to these women, to these elegant orators, introducing us to these tongues, these customs, these ways, these truths, which is nothing more than black feminism. They saying, hey, we stepping up to the plate. And they are 100% against the Spirit of God. 100%. Actually, he talks about it. He says, Jerusalem is ruined, Judah is fallen because their tongues, their custom, their ways, and their truth, and their doings are against the Spirit of God to provoke the understanding of his glory. And that's what they have done. That's why they tell you those things. That's why they tell you that. That's why we have a lot of people, a lot of times we have women come over here where they call themselves women preachers, women bishops. They want to call themselves whatever. And I will always, and I keep it open, always to them. Hey, you saying you have the right to do it? I give you the floor. I will not say a word. And I want you to show me scripturally that you are permitted to do it. Show it to me. Show it to the world. And won't nobody say anything. And they will never, ever come up a front. Ever. And so right now I'm back talking with one of my homeboys, because I wanted him to put up some money about that, to where it didn't entice them. But I guarantee you, they're still not going to probably step up to the plate, because it's nowhere possible in there. And I just couldn't get a hold to him this week, but I am going to catch him, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do it just because to shut that up, because these women will say things that are interchangeable, and I'm going to show you actually what some of them will do, what women do. And they notorious for doing it. And I'm going to share some things with you about that. In Ephesians chapter 4, picking it up at verse 11, we're going to look at that real close. In verse 11, it tells us this, and it's clear. And this is what God gave us. He gave us some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers. But you have women tell you that's interchangeable. That's not the truth. Because when you go back and you look at verse 8, it's making sure it's clear. He's telling you the entire time. It tells in verse 8, it says, for where he said, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men, M-E-N. M-E-N. And he gave some prophets, some apostles, and these men. The reason he even said it in that way, because he made sure we was clear all the time. But you have women will sit there and lie to you because they develop their own doctrines, their own ways, their own things. And they done screwed us up. And they got us all screwed up. But again, the Bible don't lie and the Bible can't lie. But most people will still fall victim to a woman who pushed those types of doctrines. In Ezekiel chapter 34, picking it up at verse 31, he already said this and made it clear again, but then they don't want to run you to this because they can't refute it. He tells you, he says, and ye my flock, and the flock of my pasture are men, M-E-N. That's not interchangeable. That's men. That is men, not women. That's not interchangeable. He says, and I am your God, said the Creator God. It's not changing anything. But you'll see women sit there, oh no, we can do it. No, it's nowhere in Scripture where it says that. Nowhere in Scripture. See, and then the first thing they like to do, first thing most women like to do who do this, and it really is highly irritating. Highly irritating, but God tells us to keep pushing forward. Just expose these Jezebels. Expose these harlots. Expose these whores. Expose them. And you'll see what they like to do. And you'll see it here. And I'm going to show you something in Exodus. And they like to bring up these prophetesses. And why we got to look at, actually, I don't want to grab that one. I want to go to this one. I'm going to pull this one up because I want to show you something. And we're going to look at Exodus. We're going to go to Exodus. We're going to look at Exodus chapter 15. And we're going to go to verse 20. 15 and verse 20. And you see right here it's clear. Moses' sister, Miriam, the prophetess. I want you to see that clear. He could have easily put prophetess here. He gave some prophet, some prophetess. He could have easily put that in there. That's just a pen, 2 words. But you don't see it. You don't see it. Because he gave gifts. Those gifts was unto men. He told you that right there. He gave gifts unto men. Was Miriam a prophetess? 1,000,000,000%. It tells you right here in Scripture. But for the perfecting of the saints of the ministry, edifying the body of Christ, it's telling you that in verse 12, these gifts was unto men. M-E-N, in the men of in the flock of his pastures are men. He's making this completely clear. But you see women, they lie, especially black women. They'll lie on that because what they do, they want to push that doctrine. They want to push that black women can teach. Black women can teach Bible. Black women can sit there and lead congregations. And they lying. These ain't nothing but Jezebels, nothing but whores. In fact, they use another one they like to use. Let's go here. Let's go to Judges chapter 4, verse 4. And you'll see it here. They love to use this one. Deborah, the prophetess. They'll go there. Oh, she was one. Oh, what about Deborah? What about her? He gave gifts unto men for perfecting the saints for the work of the ministry. You see the point? You see the point? See, you have a lot of women there, oh, well, I don't like this. Yeah, good. Channel goes up and down because what you don't like is the truth. Because you feel you can teach. You feel you can do these things. You feel you should be able to go out and you should be able to teach people the word of God. And he's 100% against it. 100% against it. In fact, and I'm going to give you a couple of other ones just to even help you out. Even to help you out. We're going to look at 2 Kings, and we'll go to 2 Kings chapter 22, and we'll look at this even better. Chapter 22, verse 14. Let's look at this a little bit closer. And you see, actually, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to go here. Hodiah, the prophetess. Again, we got another prophetess. You could have went there. Coulda went there. Hodiah, the prophetess. In fact, you see they here. It's no secret that prophetess is not in the Bible because prophetess are in the Bible. But these women, they lie. They're going to lie to you. Why? Because that's what they're good at doing. And you'll see again, here, we ran into another one. Nariah, a prophetess, including the rest of the prophets that would have put me in fear. Another prophetess. In fact, you even have Isaiah's wife, and most people don't even know. That's who he went into, where again, they teach another lie about it, but you'll see again in Isaiah chapter 8, but we're going to look at verse 3. And he tell you, he went into the prophetess. This was Isaiah who went into the prophetess, which was his wife. And then she had Maher-shalal-Hash-Baz. That was his name. These are prophetess that is in the Bible. In the Bible, but people will lie to you. These are women that will lie to you to say, no, this shows you we can teach. No, it don't. It don't say that. Just tell you they prophetess. Luke chapter 2, verse 36 tells you the same thing, but this is what they do. They're good at doing this because, as I said, they're liars. Anna, a prophetess, in Luke chapter 2, verse 36. Again, you see this. You see this consistently. I'm showing you prophetess in the Bible, but he's telling you he gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers for perfecting of the saints of the work of the ministry and edifying the body of Christ. And when he led captivity captive, he gave these gifts unto men. And the men in year of his flock and of his pasture are men. He's telling you this all the time. But women, oh no, we can do this, we can do this. No, because that's their own doctrine. That's their doctrine. These are some of the worst women you ever want to be around. In fact, I'm going to show you something, and we're going to look at this real quick and show you something here in Numbers. Chapter 12, we're going to see, and Miriam was clearly a prophetess. You're going to see right here. But I want you to see something and pay attention to who going to get hooked up. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman in whom he had married, for he had married the Ethiopian woman. And they said, you see, they said, has the Spirit of God indeed spoken only by Moses? Has he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. The Lord heard it. When she should have just been an influencer. But we'll see what happened. And he actually is going to talk to both of them. And he's going to tell you something right here. Well, what he did, he told them all to come out. Moses, Miriam, and Aaron. And he came down in the tabernacle. We're going to pick it up at verse 5. And the Lord came down in the pillar of a cloud and stood at the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and both forth came, because he told them to come up front. And he said, I'll tell you what I want you to do. I want you to hear exactly what I'm going to say. Don't you get anything tripped up. I don't mumble. I don't stumble. You won't understand exactly what I'm saying. And he's making sure it's clear as this. Hear now my words. If there be a prophet, providing there be a prophet among you, I will make myself known unto him in a vision and in a dream. And I will speak to him in a dream. My servant Moses, not so. So even with these women, they go around, and they good for doing it. I hear that all the time. They go around saying, oh, the Lord told me to tell you. Oh, the Lord talked to me and said this. Oh, the Lord told me to tell you this. The Lord said to tell you to tell you this. The Lord said this and said that. The Lord did this. I hear the Lord talking to me. They good at doing that. They good at doing this. He said, I'm going to make myself known to them in a vision and speak to them in a dream. The same as we seen earlier what he did to Peter. However, those women is going to do it consistently. Consistently. Consistently they do that. The Lord said this. The Lord told me to tell you that. The Lord told me to tell you this. The Lord told me to tell you that. The Lord told me to tell you this. The Lord told me to tell you that. That's all they do. But you watch what happens here. I want you to see something. And you see what happened after he said this, but he made something real clear here. I want you to see in verse 8 where he gets down. He says, wherefore then you were not afraid to speak against my servant Moses. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, full thought. But I want you to look at something. I want you to look at this verse 10. Verse 10 is, and he departed from off the tabernacle, and remember, Miriam, not Aaron, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. The question is, why? Why not Aaron? Both of them talked about it. Why only her? Well, it's an answer to it. It's something you need to meditate on. It's an answer to this. Why only Miriam got hooked up? And it's telling you, in white as snow, and Aaron looked upon Miriam, and remember, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Elias, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, wherein we have sinned. Let her be not as one dead. Why only her? Why only her? See, that's the trip. Let's go back over here to Isaiah, and that's something you need to chew on. Why Aaron didn't get hooked up? And we look over here, back over here in Isaiah chapter 3, verse 9, it says, and he showeth their countenance doeth witness against them. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. These women walk around in their appearance and in their presence, in their positions, and why you hear them say, you call them sister. Oh no, I'm a bishop. What? No, you bishop ain't coming. I had to tell a couple of them that before. Oh no, my name is bishop. To you ain't coming out of my mouth. None of that coming out of my mouth. Well, I'm prophetess. What? No. Well, I'm pastor. No, not coming out of my mouth. Well, you know, Miriam was the first one went and told the disciples, okay, and he told them to go tell them something. She wouldn't preach. No, you're lying. You're lying. You're a liar. And you're good at doing it. You had these women, then they're just good orators. Orators is nothing but charmers and enchanters. That's what an orator actually is. Charmers and enchanters. Really making it known their sins. It's telling you right there. Making known their sins. And it's against them. And they declared their sins comparing Sodom. Comparing Sodom. Great sinners is what it's talking about. Before the Spirit of God. And they won't even hide it. I wonder why. In fact, I'm telling you, we're some unique people. We are some unique people. I'm gonna go to 3, but we're gonna go to Genesis chapter 2. I want to show you something on what they did, and we're gonna see this in verse 2, in chapter 2, verse 25 of Genesis. It says, and they were both naked. They were both in sin, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. They weren't even ashamed of that. Not even ashamed. That's interesting, isn't it? This is 100% interesting. The reason it's so interesting is because it's the influencer on who was pumping something that was false. She's saying it was pleasant, something to be desired. She wanted to be like God. She wanted to be equal to God. Not the spirit that God gave her. It was her spirit that she wanted. She wanted to be like God. In fact, let's go down. You see what they're doing, and that's why they're pushing these positions. And it says, say ye to the righteous, that ye shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. You gonna eat that. Black women pushes these doctrines, and they believe right is wrong and wrong is right, doing their own works through feminism. They have a right to do it. And then as soon as a man sit there and check them, they want to sit there and say that's discrimination. That's discrimination. As I said, look at the characteristics of feminism and remove everything else. You'll come to the truth every time. Every time. Watch what happens here in verse 11. It says, woe even unto the wicked. Yeah. It shall be ill with him, for the reward of his power shall be given him. So you're going to get paid. You don't worry, you're going to get paid for it. You're going to get paid for this. So this reward is for the evil doing. And what's this the reward? It's telling you right here in verse 12. Verse 12, it says, comparing for my people, the children are their oppressors. The children, the works, these works are our oppressors. These fruits and works are oppressors, including women rule over them. These women with these spirits like that, they rule over them. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting we get into these kind of conversations. These women have destroyed many people way to find salvation based on, no, somebody had to do it. Somebody had to do this. So I did it. I did it. Destroyed many people doing that. Destroyed many people doing this. And you look at Romans chapter 10, verse 3, you're making sure this is clear. And this is what they do. It says, for they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. Yeah, we're gonna do all our own stuff. But then God, I tell you what we'll do. We'll say it's yours. It's really mine, girl. It's really mine. But we'll say it's his. You see what's going on here? It's really mine. But Lord, we'll say it's yours. We'll say it's yours. I'm telling you, we cannot get out our own way on these types of doctrines. We cannot do it. We go through this journey and we will not survive. We will not survive. We are being eliminated daily. We will not survive this. These women, they sit there and they hold to that. When you go down in verse 13, it says this, it says a little bit more. It says, the Spirit of God standeth up and plead. He's going to plead. He's going to petition, including standing to judge the people. So he's also going to teach the people. But what is he going to do? Let's look at it. Let's get some meat behind this and see what we can grab hold to. It says the Spirit of God will enter into judgment. So he's going to enter into these doctrines, into these teachings with the ancients of his people. So he's going to enter into these elders in the traditions of his people. It's telling you right there, of his people, including the princes thereof. So including these rulers. But why? For they have eaten up the vineyard. They destroyed it. They spoiled it. But they did more. And spoils the poor is in your houses. These unlearned people, they going around, no, I can do this. No, I can do that. No, I can do it. You done destroyed these people's houses doing this. What was the focus? Things of the flesh. Being equal to men in all things. Being equal to men in all things. It's crazy. He said the people of his pasture are men to perfecting for the work of the ministry. No, God, no. I'm gonna do it. They not stepping up to the plate. They're not stepping up to the plate, so I'm gonna do it. And then they'll challenge it. They'll challenge even anyone. And that's why I love to take a challenge even from them. Because then most times I will sit there and I will show them how much they don't know. It tells you this, and it makes sure you clearly know this. It tells you this in Sirach chapter 32, picking it up at verse 8. It says, let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words. Be comparing one that knoweth and yet holdeth his tongue, his ways, his customs, and his truth. You be that. But guess what? You have many of them, they so quick to speak. I got to say something. I want to show everybody else I know something. I want to show everybody this. I want to do, guys do it too. But we looking at feminism at its best. We want to let everybody know, I know this. I know that. It's at its best. And women should be short with words and comprehending much and understanding. Be like a tree and blow with the wind. Holding your tongue, your ways, your customs, your truth, and learn the ways of Jehovah. So then when you speak with wisdom. You speak with knowledge. You speak with understanding. Besides sitting there speaking with ignorance. To try to prove to everybody, I know this. That's what we do. We're good at doing it. In fact, get even more in verse 9. It says, providing thou be among great men. Provided thou be among great men. We're gonna look at something about that. It says, make not thyself equal to them. Full thought. Don't make yourself equal to them. But guess what? They do it. When the ancient men are in place, use not many words. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna unpack some of this. It just something came to mind, made me laugh. But I'm gonna unpack some of this, because I'm gonna tell you, this is great in a lot of women. You have some women who will be fewer words, not even talking to them. But you have some, no matter what you do, they got something to say in that arena based on that. It says when you're among great men. And I'm going to show you everything when it's saying great. These are powerful men once. And the same thing, I'm going to share a story with you. Just share a story with you. Because that great is talking about powerful men. Talking about powerful men in the word of God. That's what that's actually letting you know. This is pertaining to the words of God. When you're among these men, and what he's telling you and trying to get you to understand is this. You should not try to make yourself equal to them, but they do it. And the same thing is, like I said, for the best thing you see with Dr. Shaul. Dr. Shaul and them is the one who certified Hebraeus. They're the ones that actually started all that stuff. Going back from his great-great-grandfathers and all that stuff. They the one started it. So they the one actually certified. That's why I said you ain't gonna see other ones out there, because he was the one who certified you. Now, the interesting thing is this. He was a master Hebraeus. Dr. Shaul. Certified master Hebraeus through his grandfather. I don't know which one. That's the only thing I don't know. I don't know if his grandfather or his father did it, but I know he was certified anyway. But the main thing is, most people don't know, but you can see it. And I'm not going to even share it, but you can actually go see it, because I actually have it up there. But you are granted letters based on depth of knowledge. You granted letters based on depth and knowledge. So it's a master Hebraeus. It is a L or X's or whatever it is. It'll say that, and it'd be using Greek letters to define it. And it's out there. But the thing is this, is the letters that he administered to me later was the same that his great-great-grandfather had. Well, that was really interesting. The reason I say that is the letters that I had was actually above his. And he granted that. He the one did that. But the thing is, I was among a great man. I was among a powerful man. And with that, I wouldn't even put myself in the same arena with him as using master for with the Hebraeus. I would just say I'm a Hebraeus. He forced me to do. I just be honest. He forced me. No, you're gonna put that there, and I did. I did it pretty much. He didn't. He wasn't. He was dying at it, but I ended up using it. However, with that, I never tried to, or I never did try to make myself equal to Dr. Shaul on any level. On any level, I never did that. I never tried to challenge anything. I always try to come to understanding. If he says something that I might feel uncomfortable about, I try to find out why he reasoned it that way. And he normally be 50 steps up on why he said that right there, but he can explain it to you at 50 ways up, and he'll show you all precepts, and he just take you around that block and show you. And then you see, dang, and you see all those 49 steps was in that one step. And he shows you that, and you see it, and it's clear. But he wanted to make sure I understood it. So I never sat there when I sat among him, trying to put myself equal to him. Ever. To the day he died. Still won't put myself as greater knowledge than him. Stupidity. But people do it. And the stupid part about that is people try to make themselves equal or better than where their source is. That's stupidity. That's an impossible thing, but we do it. And this where it comes out at its greatest is in America. Here. Because he couldn't stand America. And I'm pretty sure that pretty much most people know that. He hated us, not other people. He mainly spoke about us. He couldn't stand us in America. Because we walk around like our poop don't stink. And the whole thing is what God wants us to do. That was the whole bottom line on everything. Because all the time God is telling us to do one thing. And this is something that was hard for us, especially in America, hard for us to do. And it tells us this here in Jeremiah chapter 3. But we're going to look at something and basically get an understanding based on why we on these journeys and why we have these problems on these journeys. And he's telling us here, it says, only acknowledge thy iniquities. That's something we can't even acknowledge. We need to only acknowledge thy iniquities, that thou hast transgressed against the Spirit of thy God. We can't even do that. We cannot do that. Period. We can actually put a period there for us because we can't do that. We're going to say, oh no, we're going to tell you what? No, this happened to us. No, if it wasn't for this, no, this is constant. But, constant. We need to acknowledge our iniquities. And we have transgressed, meaning we have forgotten. Because why? We making our own dang bread. Lies up in the grave. We done this. So he said, and has scattered thy ways in the strangers under the every green tree. This is really interesting. The green tree is talking about a doctrine of life, but people sit there and tell you all kinds of other things, but green tree is just talking about a doctrine of life. Your doctrine of life is a lie. Why? And ye have not obeyed my voice, said the Spirit of God. Now your doctrine is better than God's. And you never been to heaven, but you're going to sit. I know y'all hear me. I know you hear me. And you sitting there, everything we do, we're going to do it we scatter, but we're going to do everything in God's name. In God's name. In Jesus' name we pray all these false ways. All of them. And we stink. Based on feminism. Oh, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it. And he's sitting there, he says, obey my voice. He's telling you, have not obeyed my voice. You see the covenant he made with us. I'm gonna show it to you because this is so sickening on what we do. In Exodus chapter 19 verse 5, he says, "Now for that reason, providing ye will obey my voice in works and keep my covenant, and then ye should be a then ye should be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine." No, my poop don't stink. No, my poop don't stink. So I'm good. That's them. That's everybody else. I'm telling you, we good at doing that. We're perfect at doing this. And people always want to hear smooth things. They want to hear smooth things. And we got to get rid of the sin. How are you going to get rid of sin and nobody can't tell you that you sin? Nobody can tell you sin, but then as soon as somebody tells you about sin, oh no, I got to change this. Let me go listen to this. Oh yeah, I like this. This is more like it. Yeah, you go there because you don't want to hear what the truth is. So guess what? You go there. That's why the reason hell enlarged herself anyway. That's the point of it. You refuse to hear the truth. You want to hear smooth things. Rightfully so, each and every one of us can go to hell. Rightfully so, and we refuse to hear the truth when it's coming to us about what it is, what our problem is. And he's telling us we need to acknowledge our iniquities, and we have transgressed the Spirit of God. We have transgressed against his ways, and transgressed against everything. And all he said is, obey my voice. We can't even do it. We can't even do that. And he's telling you something that is so clear here. It's craziness that we... I'm telling you, boy, this... When you sit there, you don't... It's hard work. It's hard work when you teaching to his people. It's hard work. And he's telling you... Actually, I don't even want that one. He's telling you this right here. Same thing he said in here. You obey my voice, keep my covenant. Then you'll be a peculiar treasure, because he's telling you, I promise them that promise me. He's telling you that right there. But guess what? We can't even do that. Oh, I'm a promise, but my poop don't stink. My poop don't stink, Lord. If you keep my covenant, be obedient to what I'm telling you, then, only then, you'll be a peculiar treasure to me above all people. You promise me, I promise you. We can't even do that. Can you go down there and make a left and come back around the corner to the house? I'm going to make it right. I'm going to go down. No, Josephine, no, let's make it right. We're going to go right. We're going to go by the store. You can still get there. We do it like clockwork. Go down there, stand on the corner for 2 minutes for that car to pass by, turn around, come back. Go down there. I ain't gonna go down there for 2. I'm gonna go down there for 10 minutes. 10 minutes I'm gonna go. Then I'll come back. Remember the Sabbath day. Why he got to tell your butt he got to remember that? It says in the 7th day he rested. I got my own Sabbath day. Sabbath day, I can have Sabbath day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I can have it whenever I want to. Lord, I'm gonna tell you what, Saturday is not good for me. I'm gonna worship you on Monday. You'll like it. I love them that love me. Well, I know we get that. I know everybody getting that right now. And this is why I keep going back to the same thing here. This is why I keep going back here. I got to keep going back here so we all can understand one good thing. In Isaiah chapter 5, picking it up at verse 14, I want you to clearly get this in our head. For that reason, hell enlarged herself. For that reason alone. Because no matter what we say, no matter what we do, we choose our own direction we want to go. Good at doing it. He said, you'll be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. And he's telling you right up front, I'm going to be your God. I'm going to be your God. He says everything he tells us, but we no. We got to do. We got our own way of doing it, Lord. We just want to be called by your way. But he's telling us right up front what he's doing. In fact, in Exodus chapter 6, verse 7, he's telling you to get rid of this evil, to get rid of all this evil doing. He said, I will take you to me for a people, so I can guide you and lead you to get you away from this evil ways and craziness that you all caught up into all this confusion. He said, and I will be to you a God. I'm going to be a guide to you. I'm going to guide you up out of this stuff. No, Lord, no, Lord, I don't agree with that. I like going around there on 97 Hoe Street. I like going over there. I'm going to take you to me for a people, but I'm going to be to you a guide. No. Hold up, Lord. Hold up. I do certain things on certain days. So we need to come to that agreement. We need to be under agreement with that. So it's telling us right here where we're going to find out what's going on. When we look at this, it says, in their glory, it says her mouth open her mouth without measure in their glory, and their multitude in their pomp. Their pomp. Vainglory and being proud and arrogant. That's what their pomp is. Our poop don't stink. I've been saying this thing. Our poop don't stink when we do stuff. We know the Lord love it. He gonna love what we do. He gonna love when we do this. No, I need you to do that. No, Lord, I got another way of doing something. Promise you gonna love it. Promise you gonna love it. So we looking at this, and he's guiding us through the wilderness. So he only gonna take the ones, not as though the word of God is taking non effect, but everybody's not Israel. God understands that. He knows that he wrote it. So he's guiding us through this wilderness, but all is not going to follow his ways. And some women going to believe their ways is a better way than God's. So what we want to understand is one thing, and I want to make sure we're clear here and make sure we understand this as we coming down to the close, but I want to make sure you understand something real good. We're going to go to Revelation chapter 17, but I'm going to grab you at verse 8. We're going to grab verse 8. I want to make sure you understand clearly what's going on here. It says, the beast that thou saw, including, is not. It's going to leave. And it descended out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition, including they that dwelt in the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life. The simplest thing in the world that's here, but we're going to look at everything. Whose names weren't written in the book of life for the foundation of the world. And remember the beast that was and is not and yet is. And one of the biggest problems is people saying, and people tell us this all the time, well, is my name in the book? Is my name in the book? I want you to say, we're going to simplify it. Your name is not in the book. Nobody's name. Remove that, because your name not in the book. Take that out. That's the similitude he wants you to get. So get that in your head. What he's talking about is names. It's what he's talking about, the ways. So he's been saying this the entire time. If your ways is not found written in the book, you got a problem. So if your ways is not in the book of life, you got a problem. Your name is not there. Not gonna go, oh yeah, oh here you go Michael Johnson. No. That's a similitude on what he wants you to understand. Name mean ways. You got, same thing I said, you got dumb Christians out there going to tell you everything else. They're going to go through concordances and everything, Septuagint, they're going to use everything else, but I'm telling you what it means in Paleo Hebrew. It means ways. And if those ways that you're doing, that you done developed, that you done cooked up, that you done kneaded with bread, and you done built that up, and you done did that, and if those ways is not found in that book, you got a problem. Do everybody understand that? You just say yes as I'm going, but I'm just want to make sure you clearly get that, because that's something you need to understand. Your name is not going to show up there where he's looking, oh yeah, such and such, yeah, you're clear, yes, such and such. No, you can all get up, and when CC there, as soon as he sit there and say, your ways is not found in that book, you have a problem. If your ways and doing all this stuff, you have a problem. So here's the clincher. Here's the clincher here. It's saying the beast will ascend out of the bottom of this pit. The deep, and it's saying out of the deep. So it's telling you out of the abyss. More so what we know, but it's saying the deep and what you know, but just saying for our terms, we just gonna call it the abyss, because most people know what I'm saying, the abyss, but it's really called the deep. And then you're gonna go into perdition. So perdition is why we use the sons of Satan, because it's of destruction and ruin. Perdition. You're not getting around it. You're not getting around it. And the ones that are in the earth will wonder. But why would they wonder? Again, we want to understand what wonder is. Wonder is the mighty acts, the power, and the signs, which they will produce for you. Oh, look at it. Boy, this church got to be good. This big old church here, this has got to be good. Really? That's interesting. Oh, he was able to do this. Why do you think they're doing them wonders, having people coming up and making people fake it in wheelchairs and walking and doing all these things? Why do you think they're doing that? They're not doing it just to be doing it. They're doing it for a reason. They're doing it to get you to get caught up. It's telling us this here, and let's look at something. Verse 9, it says, in here is the mind, which has wisdom. You see how he's doing this. The mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. That's your catch. That's why a lot of us gonna get screwed up. And that's why I tell people all the time. You know, where you learn at is where your life is. Where people want to sit there and hold on to whatever, that's why we sit there. You hold on, because people, oh yeah, we're going to go over there, we're going to roll with those caps, this and that. They talk about, all they do is talk about one thing. 12 tribe chart. The white man is Esau. And spaceships. Go there. But the thing is, don't come here with those questions. Stay there. That's where your life is in. You got people who want to listen to it, so they'll mix it. My thing is, don't mix it. Go there. I would never sit there and say, okay, you got a choice, then come here. No. If you like it over there and it kind of sound good, go there. It's that simple. And in fact, let's go to something. Let's look at something. We're going to look at this in Revelations. And we're going to go to chapter 20. But we want verse 15. We want verse 15. He says that clearly. Including whosoever was not found written in the book of life. Whosoever was not found. So if none of your ways was found in the book of life, you was cast into the lake of fire. Many of us going to be cast there based on being caught up in a lot of silly doctrines. A lot of us going to get caught up because those ways are not going to be found in the book. You have people who created these acts, they created these things, and you had the ones who created these ways of the feminist movement, this black feminist movement. They think those ways are going to be in the book. They're not. You're going to be cast into the lake of fire. It's clear as day because those ways are not there. He already made sure it's clear. The flock of his pastors, those ones who's teaching people, are men. Those women, those ways is not in the book. That's going to be cast into the lake of fire, which you attach to it. You got people who doing the LGBT movement. You're going to be attached to that. That's not in the book. Which people going to sit there and say, oh, damn, I can't believe this one. Same one with the Black Panther movement. He said, you need to get right with him. No, we're gonna protect ourselves. We're going to start the Black Panther movement. That's not in the book. You're going to be attached to it and thrown in the lake of fire. The reparations movement, big. Oh, I want reparations. And a lot of people still, they'll sit there and say, I won't take it. But if they send a check there, oh, they're going to cash it. You will not find that way in the book. And you're going to be cast right there. But me, as I tell you, I want you to be there. I want the reparations to happen because that can eliminate a whole bunch of craziness. That can get rid of a whole lot of craziness for me. But he want me to work. I'm going to keep working. But that can clarify a lot of stuff for me. You got the One Nation movement. One Nation Under God movement. Really, that's interesting. We'll sit there right there and say it. One nation under God, indivisible. Really, that's interesting. That is not found in the book. That's going to the lake of fire. And the people who holds on to it with it. Including them that was all part of that kind of craziness. This is what's going on. And people continually hold on to stuff, and thinking they're doing something. In Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14, looking at verse 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 9, we're going to look at verse 9 and verse 10, and it's telling you all things what it already was. It says, for the ungodly in his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God. All that stuff is hateful to God. All of it. Every stinking bit of it. And we all tied up to it. We all tied up to it. And it's hateful to God. He's saying this even more, and the same thing like I was telling you from the beginning. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. So if you want to hang with all that stuff, oh, I like this, I like that, you stay with that. You stay with it, because you're going to hell anyway. You're going there anyway. It don't matter. It do not matter. This is why people sitting there want to play these games, and they keep thinking the Bible and scriptures is a game. It's a game to them, and that's why I say we're not about games. I don't have the time for it. So that's why I say if you sitting there and you on the cuff and all, go somewhere else. Don't waste our time. It's so important because these are the ways of feminism, including the ways where you don't find nowhere in the Bible with people creating all these movements against God. And the main thing is this. I'm going to show you something show you some of the main stuff that we get into. We can't even do it. We can't even do this stuff. In 1 John chapter 1, picking it up at verse 9, it tells us this, and we see right here. It says, providing we confess our sins, which some we can't do, he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins. He's telling you, he'll forgive you for them if we can stop doing, get out the sin business. We can't do it. Our poop don't stink. Why you keep I keep going there? Our poop don't stink. So since our poop don't stink, we know God will do this. He says, including to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. But we can't do that either. We can't get that because we're not going to do the first one. But, well, I would, yeah, but no, the Lord understand it. The Lord understand it. I was born and raised in this. So the Lord understand where I'm coming from. You know, that's why we don't, hey, we can't forsake the assembling of this. He told you don't do it unto condemnation. Don't do it. He said Christ ain't there and God ain't there. Yeah, but still, we got to do it. Okay, interesting. Hell is your resting place. Could you keep coming up with your own doctrine? We are so good in developing our own doctrine. I'm talking masters at it. And we don't think nothing about it. And then when somebody bring it to your attention, we get mad at them. Who are they? Who are they to say this about what I do here? Who are you? Who are you to do this? He that covereth his sins shall not prosper. That's Proverbs chapter 28, verse 13. Whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. They'll tell you, hey, you under grace anyway. We can sin as much as we want. We're good. We're good. This is our problem. This is the problem. In fact, as it says, let's go back and I want to show you something as we go on out here. In 9, it says, and here is the mind which has wisdom. 7 heads are 7 mountains which the 7 women sitteth. I'm going to unpack some of that. Because it's telling us the 7 until completion. And with the heads, these 7 heads, and it's telling you about the desires of thought without boundaries. That's the heads. These desires, these thoughts without boundaries. That's what this is telling you. So we got to remember this journey that we're going on, and I want to make sure we're clear on a lot of this here to make sure it's no second guessing here. We're going to go to 2nd Idris, and we're going to look at chapter 7 and verse 7. The interest thereof is narrow and set in dangerous place to fall. Light comparing, providing there were desire on the right hand on the power and on the left deep water. That's what we're going through. But I want you to keep one thing in mind. As we doing this, these offers going to come up. These 7 women, these 7 heads, it's going to be there. These 7 heads are there when you go in there. And to show you even more so what they are, we might well see what they are. Might as well see it. We all in the open. We on this journey. So we on the journey of unraveling all these parables on what we up against. Got 666 ways to get you. And many people going to sit there and they're going to develop their own doctrine, their own ways, their own thing, everything. And they're going to get caught up. He said, then go over taking into himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself. Same thing is talking about here. Same thing is telling you the entire time. She's sitting on these things to get you caught up. And more wicked than himself and the enter and to dwell therein, to dwell there. In the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so in this wicked generation, it's going to get us caught up. Going to get us 100% caught up. But I'm going to show you in this last verse here, and it's going to tell us something here. It says, and there are 7 kings. 7. Until completion, kings. This is 7 kings. This is until completion. 5 are fallen. 5 are fallen. And 1 is. And the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. I'm going to tell you, we getting ready to have a serious party next week. A serious party next week getting ready to happen. A lot of us is not going to like what's getting ready to come down. A lot of us is not going to like what's getting ready to go down. We're going to end that right there. We're going to end right there. And what's getting ready to happen is not cool. Because we getting ready to go on this journey and we got a problem. We have a serious problem getting ready to happen. But my thing is to you. My thing is to you. You need to do a personal check within yourself. You need to do a personal check within yourself. And if you don't do that, I'm going to tell you right now, you got a problem. You're going to have a serious problem. And your serious problem that a lot of people going to have, you thinking you rolling into a kingdom, and you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. And what I want to do, what I was telling you the last time, we having it still, I'm going to still do it today. And I don't have it again, I have it set only for more of 100 people. And if you refresh your screen, you'll see in the description the meeting. And what I want to do is explain what's going on with this baptism. And some people, how they going to be seeking baptism with the Holy Ghost, not what these Christians talk about and what they push. But you got baptism with the Holy Ghost, and you got baptism unto remembrance. And we're going to clarify some things back there. And then what we're going to do, we're going to start scheduling people to meet to see which one you will have. Because the main thing is, just like I say to with anyone, you know, people could get upset, people can get mad or whatever. But the main thing is, you're going to understand is this. We're not here to sit there to pacify anybody. Period. I'm not here for that. We're here to make sure you have understanding. We're here to make sure you understand what's going on. Right now, we're going through this journey. We're understanding what's going on with this journey. And what we got to do, and things we have to remove. And if you're not willing to remove them, please don't think you're going to enter into the kingdom. So with that, as I said, we didn't set it to where we have multiple people, but we're having it to where it'd be a little bit smaller group. So that's why we still got the limit set to 100. And then the 100 people come in, then you won't be able to get in. It's just that simple. So you'll see there, you'll see it down in the description. So we can go through that. And then the same thing is, if you guys have not Deacon Emmanuel, now I kicked him off my channel. He had to go get his own channel. He should have been going over there for a while because he puts out teachings. So he has his own channel. So if you look at King James Bible University homepage, you'll see it's down there where you see Deacon Emmanuel, King James Bible University. And he do have a teaching coming this week. So if you get a chance, make sure you go over there and subscribe to his channel. And that brother's going to be putting out a lot of stuff. Because now, even when he do the lost tapes and everything, all that'll be over there. It won't be here. So we all just have to travel over there to check out that young brother. So what I want to do here, I want to appreciate everybody that came. And now we're going to meet in the back to where we can go through those any questions and answers that you may need. But other than that, until next time, I say to each and every person, I'm glad you're able to join. Until we meet this Monday, I say to you, Shalom.